Chicken Run. I had never seen this movie in Blu-ray HD crisp Blu-ray quality. So I finally picked it up, and I've been meaning to rewatch this movie for many years actually. But we have a sequel coming out, I believe this year. It's not. We don't have any disclosed release dates, but I believe it's this year. And let's just kind of talk about this movie. A couple interesting facts about this movie. This movie was almost nominated for Best Picture the year it came out, which is crazy. So, if you don't know, the animated film category at the Oscars and the Academy Awards was only instated in the year 2001, and the first ever film to win that was Shrek, which is crazy. It beat Monsters Inc. So, anyway, so that's so the first ever American in color animated film came out in 1942. I think it was 1942. Snow White, we all know that. And so that's about 60 years or more that animated films were not recognized at the Oscars. That's not to say they didn't get awards. Walt Disney actually did receive some Oscars for Snow White and other things like that, but it was very rare and almost never happened. In 1994, Beauty and the Beast came out, or actually, was it 92 or 94? I forget, but it was nominated for Best Picture. It was the first ever film nominated for Best Picture. Why that happened was because there was a work in progress cut of Beauty and the Beast that was released at film festivals that showed the process of the animation, and the Academy was so impressed by that they were like, "All right, we gotta let this film win, or not win, but at least be nominated." So they nominated it, but that was the only time that happened. So this movie almost being nominated for Best Picture is quite an accomplishment because no films were animated films were nominated for that category. Besides Beauty and the Beast, it's still very rare for an animated film to be nominated for Best Picture. The reason they didn't want to do that is because the Academy did not like that this film was animated. Like, they liked the movie, they all loved it, but they were bothered by putting an animated film in that category. And that's why eventually we actually got the animated film category, which is still it's a category that's important at the Oscars, but it's also one that's not a good category because it's just like it's not well. The choices aren't well selected. They don't really choose anything other than Disney films. There's a lot of issues with that category, but I just want to give that kind of backstory of this film because it kind of shows how great this movie is. Um, I do have issues with it, but this is a really beautifully animated movie. This is a co-collaboration with DreamWorks and Aardman Animation. Now, Aardman, you probably best know for stuff like Wallace and Gromit, and they're a British animation studio. And they, you can see on the cover here, these are very much their style of animation, but it still looks gorgeous, very well done, and you know, looks great. And so that's the best part about this movie. I think is the animation. The writing on this movie is also really good. The dialogue is very witty. The characters are very witty. And stuff like that. I think where this movie hurts a little bit is it down to the plotting, but I don't have a major issue with the plotting as much as some people do. Basically, this movie is a prison escape movie with these chickens trying to escape this prison, and after one day, after one of them lands in the chicken coop, um, and a new incomer lands in the chicken coop who was flying because he's part of the circus. Um, they believe he can fly and teach them how to get out of this chicken coop. And then so it's very obvious where that plot line is going to go. It's going to be the lie revealed story, which I don't really mind it in this film because this film came out in the 90s. It wasn't as much of a trope as it was or is now. Like, the only film I can think of around that time period that had a similar plotting to that was A Bug's Life, but it's not the same and it doesn't feel the same, you know, and you know, our main character has a very good reason for trusting this character. Is that, there's a heartbreak to the story where you can see that these chickens are dying. They're if they don't lay enough eggs, they get their heads cut off. That's what actually happens on farms. And she's tired of seeing her, her her family, basically these chickens, lose their heads over this, and she wants them to be free and have a good life, kind of thing. So I get why it happens. Yes, it's very tropey. That part is obviously the worst part, and the other part of this movie is it's a very prison escape movie. And someone might watch this and be like, if they really know that genre, they might be, oh, it's kind of generic. But the way I look at it is this: yes, kind of, but in this movie, it is well done, because how many animated films can you think of that are prison escape movies? It feels very unique because it's animated, and I think that's kind of the thing there. And also, let's be real, just because something is generic does not mean it's bad. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times, a lot of writers will say there's only certain amount of stories you can tell, which I don't believe is true. I believe there are thousands and thousands of stories that are waiting to be told. But what I do think is that is that this movie in particular is incredibly fresh and unique and inventive with its humor and characters, that it doesn't even matter that the story's a little bit lacking, because I don't feel like most people watch this movie for the story. They're watching it for the humor and the characters, which really works. And there's a lot of great action in this movie, particularly in the scene where they're escaping the chicken pot pie machine for the first time, and when they're putting the coop together and they're flying. That's a beautiful sequence. I also really enjoyed the score to it. Now, some of the score is actually lifted from the movie The Great Escape. Again, I would say this movie's less of a generic prison escape movie and more of a homage to prison escape movies with its own unique style and flair. That's the way I feel about it. I think it's a really excellent film. You can see why the Academy kind of really liked it. It's not as good. I don't think it's weird. I've seen this movie so many times when I was a kid. I really loved it when I was a kid, and I'm definitely lower on it now. And I think that's just because it's a solid fun movie, but not one of the best DreamWorks and Aardman films out there. I think it's still pretty good. Though it's a very solid movie, definitely worth checking out.